You can't keep running. It's going to just get worse and it's going to engulf you. It's like you're running from a snowball, which is constantly getting bigger and bigger as you're running down the hill away from it. The more you keep running, the bigger it's going to get. At some point, you have to turn, you have to face it and let it hit you, and it's going to hurt, but it's only going to hurt for a second, maybe a minute or a week, but like then it will stop hurting and then you can rebuild.
Yep.
But I ain't at the end of my road, 'cause I won't be the one left behind. You can be king of the world if you're safe to ride. Tear down the...
G'day everyone,
Morning, how are we?
welcome aboard another episode of The Raw Truth.
Number 13 it is.
This is, we've been doing it for 1 year now, so we're getting pretty excited. We started in April last year and yeah, we've progressed to here. So thanks to everyone that's already tuning in. We can see we've got a bit of an audience, which is really exciting. Obviously yesterday was Anzac Day, so we paid our respects in the proper way. I hope you guys all did too. It's really important that days like that are really celebrated as a nation. Obviously there was a lot of sacrifice and suffering happening a long time ago in a faraway land. Maybe we don't know anybody personally, or maybe you do know people personally that were involved in that, but it's really important to be grateful for everything that has happened, and that's the reason that we have so much freedom and liberty and all of those things today that we have, is because of the sacrifice and suffering of other people. So we just wanted to touch on that before we begin today, which actually really leads us into our theme of today. So once again, welcome aboard The Raw Truth. This is episode 13, Embracing the Suffering and Sacrifice. We're here to create a collaboration of knowledge and power within the heavy metal community through discussion and action around contemporary social issues and mental health development and things like that. So that's what we're here for today. We're going to be talking about embracing suffering that you might be going through, sacrifice that you might have to make, and also sort of seeking some of that out to help with personal growth and things like that.
Yeah, definitely one of those things where obviously in life, we face a lot of challenges, and our first reaction is to shy away from that, because it is one of those things where, like, why do we want to go into difficult things when it's it's much safer on this side? And we've really got to take a look inside and find out why it is that we want to take on, embrace that suffering and sacrifice. That's and today, we'll be talking about that and why that's important, and how we're going to find ways to break through, and why it's so important to break through and get to the other side. So
that's it. So yeah, as I said, welcome aboard everyone. It's good to see so many people already on board, getting those comments rolling in, things like that. So g'day to a few people. I'll give a shout out to David, Andrew, Greg, Isaac, Lee, Glenn, Shane, Laura, Chris, Shana, Dylan. As I said, we've got a bit of a audience already. So yeah, cheers guys for tuning in and spending your Sunday morning with us. We really appreciate that. Shall we?
I was going to say, you want to start off with that Instagram post from the week.
That's right. So this week, I don't know if you guys saw, but I put up a post on Instagram, a quote from Mary Pope Osborne, which is about facing the darkness, as in suffering, whatever it might be that you're going through. So Mary Pope Osborne was a author of a few children's books and a sort of advocate for mental health, things like that. So her quote was, I have to keep facing the darkness. If I stand tall and face the thing I fear, I have a chance to conquer it. But if I just keep dodging and hiding, it will conquer me. And basically that is all about, dealing with the suffering or the pain that you might be going through in daily life. Whatever that might be, whether you're suffering serious mental health issues or whether you're just facing a bit of a challenge to get out of bed and go to the gym, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. Obviously suffering is on a scale, but everyone's suffering is relative to them and their life. And it's not about comparing that, it's about basically just facing it. So, as I said, the important thing there was that you have to face the suffering, you have to embrace it, you have to face up to it in order to have a chance of being able to defeat it. Whereas if you run from it, it's going to catch up with you and it's going to engulf you.
Overwhelm you and make your future self, as we spoke about last time, acting today to make the future better and make yourself stronger in the future, because otherwise that darkness will grow if left unattended. And that's one of those things where we don't often look at it that way. It's like, okay, if we got to face something today, then that may be a challenge, but it's going to be easier today to get over that, because if we don't get stronger today, it's going to get stronger tomorrow, and it's going to be even harder to climb over that. And that's really how we end up in a downward spiral, because we leave things unattended, and then they actually become, in our brain, so much bigger than what they are, and become such an impossible task to overcome. So
Yeah, that's a really good point there, Wally. Yeah, I think that's a big thing to realize. If you're going through a mental health battle, if you're struggling with something in life, whether it's finances or yeah, as I said, motivation or anything, it doesn't matter what it is. The point is, it's not going to go away on its own. Especially mental health issues, they don't just disappear. You don't just wake up one day and be like, oh, I'm not depressed anymore. Or, I don't feel anxious today, or whatever it might be. It's like you have to do something about that, and that's tough, man. That's really tough. Like embracing that and saying to yourself, I'm going to do something about this right now, and not sort of just hoping somebody else will come along and fix it, or hoping it's just going to go away on its own. You have to make the decision in yourself to say, I am going to do something about this.
Yep.
And I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how to do this. I don't have the tools to do this. I don't have the knowledge to know that it's even possible. But I'm going to give it my best shot. And because that's your only option, really. If you keep running from the darkness, if you keep trying to hide from it, it's only going to get bigger, and it's only going to engulf you and swallow you up anyway. So the only option you have is to stand and fight with whatever you have.
I'm going to say, Dave put in a comment there. It said, from someone who's faced mental health issues, help is definitely one of those things where we need to look for. And for Dave, it was family who was able to help him get through. And, being able to be vulnerable to the people around you and opening yourself up, it's okay to get help, because if you were able to fight it yourself, then you probably wouldn't have that mental health battle in the first place, because you're like, okay, I'm strong, I can do this, no worries. But
that's it.
The fact that you're sitting there staring into this darkness, it's such a big, overwhelming thing to fight against. It's like, hang on, I don't think I'm strong enough to face this. I'm going to rally a bit of an army, and they're going to give me a push.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Reaching out to people for a bit of help or advice, or just to help you get motivated enough to face the battle. There's definitely nothing wrong with reaching out to people. In fact, it's encouraged. And it really helps you.
Yeah.
And certainly it helps you realize that you're actually going to make the decision to face it. By reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, look, I've got this problem, I'm dealing with this thing. It's like, that is almost the first step in saying, like, it's an actual problem that I want to do something about.
Yeah.
And that is like, it's only a small first step, but it's a massive step in terms of turning your life around, turning the ship, like, we're going to not just keep running from it, but we're going to stop. We're going to turn, we're going to face it and see what the hell we're dealing with here. I think that's really, really important and powerful. So, definitely encourage reaching out to people if you're going through anything like that.
Yeah.
For sure. Basically, as I said, so today, if you can bring up that other thing, Wally. Essentially, we've got a couple of clips today to show you guys, which we thought would be very interesting and sort of help to sort of say what we're trying to say. The first one is from a bloke called Jordan Peterson. Dr. Jordan Peterson is a psychologist and motivational speaker and a few other things. He sort of tours the world. He's an author. He's written a very important book called 12 Rules for Life, which has really helped change my life, and has certainly helped a lot of other people, judging by his audience and his reach on social media. So this is a little clip of him talking on Joe Rogan about taking on some of the challenges in life.
And I think that there is a real lack of struggle and understanding of struggle with a lot of people today. Not necessarily struggle financially, but I mean like physical struggle, spiritual struggle, understanding that you have to overcome difficult issues to really understand the true potential of your mind and your body.
You have to not only overcome them, but you have to seek them out voluntarily and what would you say, exult in the fact that they exist, right?
Yes.
And that's part of bearing the burden of being. It's like being is a tragic state. Human being is a tragic state. So you can shrink from that. But if you shrink from that, the suffering increases and intensifies, and you become resentful and malevolent.
Yes.
So the alternative is to move forward courageously. That's the dragon motif, right? That's the hero myth, essentially. And that is the pathway forward as far as I'm concerned.
So just quickly on that, one of the things that Joe and Jordan were talking about there is the fact that a lot of people are running from their struggles. And Joe used the word struggle, which is not necessarily the suffering. He's not saying there's a lack of suffering in the world. He's saying there's a lack of pushback against that suffering, which is the struggle. The struggle is pushing back against the suffering. Running from it is not really a struggle. I mean, it's suffering, but the struggle is when you say, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to push back against this darkness, against this demon, whatever it might be. And so he's saying there's a lack of struggle, a lack of people pushing back against that. And what that's doing is, it's making the suffering worse. It's making the the fact that we're letting the suffering run loose and not caging it, not doing anything about it, means that it's growing, it's getting stronger, it's affecting more people, it's spreading like a virus does, or something like that. So I think, one of the key points there was that we need to sort of take on some of that suffering. We need to take on some of the responsibility for the struggles of the life that you, or the mental health, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. It's up to you to take on a little portion of that, and not to overwhelm yourself with that, but just to take on something, and try and make the world not even better, but just slightly less bad. And I think that's one of the things that Peterson talks about in his lectures and stuff a lot, is he talks about not trying to make the world better, but just trying to not make it as bad. And the way that you can do that is by just turning and facing the suffering and the darkness a little bit occasionally. Just sort of saying like, hey, this is not cool, we're going to try and do something about this. I don't know if you've got an example there, Wally.
Well, I was going to say, is there a time in your life where you look at, potentially, you had to face into some darkness, and you had to, sort of look at that and go, well, like, I should have faced that. My life is worse off now because I had the opportunity to face up to that. Do you think there's an example in your life where you came across that moment?
I think there was a really big moment in my life where I was going through some pretty heavy depression at one point a few years ago. I'm sort of going to open up a little bit here in the nature of this conversation, but essentially I was going through a really bad mental state for a couple of years there, which was attributed to a few things, like my job at the time, an overwhelm of stress that I was going through, the relationship that I was in, and a whole number of other things. But essentially what it came down to was my mindset, is I was letting all of these things affect me and not pushing back against them. And I was sort of cowering in fear and backed myself into a corner and then cower some more, and all of these stresses, all of these pressures from other people and from my job and relationship and everything else were overwhelming me, and then my mind started overwhelming me as well, because it was like joining their team basically, is how I can explain it.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did was get further and further beaten down and further backed into this corner and further into the darkness. It was overwhelming me, to the point where I started breeding resentment for my job and for my relationship and for the people that were contributing to that suffering in my eyes at the time.
Yep.
It's easy to see in hindsight, but at the time I thought, this job, the people at work aren't helping me, my relationship, my partner isn't helping me, all of these things, they're working against me, they're attacking me, is like basically how it felt. And I know that's not the case, but when you're in that darkness and when you're not doing anything about it, you want somebody else to solve the darkness for you. You want all these people to stop the suffering. You want them to be like, okay, this is on you. My partner, you need to like stop putting the suffering on me. My job, you need to stop putting the suffering on me. But realistically, what it is me not taking any responsibility for that and saying, maybe it's a job that I don't want to be in, or maybe this is a relationship I don't want to be in, or maybe this is, maybe there are things that I want to do, but I need to take some responsibility and stand up for myself and say, like, this is my life and I want to be happy, and that's up to me to make that happen. And so at the time, as I said, I was breeding all this resentment for everything in my life, and it's like, these are all the reasons that I feel bad and I feel depressed. It's all of these other things' fault.
Okay.
And as I said, in hindsight, I realized that none of those things were causing the suffering. They were causing stress, and then I was letting that stress turn into suffering, which then turned into resentment and hatred and this poison that we spoke about in previous live streams. This poisonous mindset, which turns the world against me.
Yep.
It turns everything else against. It's like it's me versus everything else which is attacking me. And that's just a really bad way to be in, man. But if you've been in a dark place mentally, I'm sure you can relate to that. I'm sure you guys can sort of relate to that to some degree.
So it is really one of those things where we're gonna have to face these things in life. Like, stresses are gonna be put on us, challenges are gonna be put forward to us.
Yeah.
But we need to not look at them and go, oh, people are bringing all their problems to me, and that's pushing me down. We really got to stand there and be like, I'm accepting all of these things that come into my world.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to associate with this person or go to this job if it's bringing me too many problems that I can't handle, I need to strengthen myself.
Or potentially remove those things from my life, whatever the case may be. But one of the things that, sorry, I lost my train there. So basically, yeah, all of this suffering, like you said, all of these things are going to happen. You're going to have stress. Your job's going to be annoying. Your partner might piss you off occasionally. Your mates or your family or the hobby that you do, like maybe finances are a stress.
Yep.
Like there's stress in life exists.
Yeah.
Pain in life exists. Tragedy in life exists. People die. Bad things happen. Your car breaks down. You know, your job sucks. The coronavirus happens.
Yeah,
and a whole bunch of people
yeah.
are unemployed now. Or if you are employed, you might be reducing your money and your hours. You know, stress and suffering and pain happens in life constantly. Yep. Like, there's no running away from that. It's going to happen. So you have to be able to stand against that and say, like, I'm going to let this happen. I'm going to deal with that. I'm going to stop that from affecting me. I'm going to, like, put a stop there. And then this other thing I'm going to try and process and deal with as best I can. It's not to say that you become invincible to it, but it's just about saying, like, this is up to me to deal with. Like, the pain, the suffering, the negativity of life isn't going to go away.
Yep.
It's going to be, in fact, it's going to keep coming. Like, every day there's going to be something that stresses you out, or something that pisses you off, or something that makes life a bit more challenging for you. That's going to exist, and it's going to keep on existing. That's part of existing, is life.
Yep.
Like, and then at the end of it all, you die. Like, so, like, life is suffering.
Yeah.
But it's about what you do with that, and it's about embracing that. And that's kind of what we talked about in the last live stream about the guy that was in the Viktor Frankl, who was in the World War II Nazi camps. He's like, suffering is all around me, but it's up to me to embrace that and not let it affect my mindset, and not let it bury me into this negative mindset and depression and all these things. Like, that's on you. Your mind is your control.
Yeah.
It's not somebody else's responsibility to sort your mind out or to prevent suffering from getting in there in the first place. Like, that's on you. At the end of the day, that's on you.
Yeah.
And it was, so back to my story about when I was in that dark place, the thing that got me out of that was one conversation that I had, which just really, like, punched me right in the guts. And it was a conversation I had with Wally and another mate that I had let me backtrack a little bit there. So I was in this dark place. I was breeding all this resentment. I was becoming this poisonous mindset of a person. And then all of that resentment, all of that negativity, all of that depression and despair basically forced me to quit my job. And it also poisoned my relationship to the point where it broke up. My partner left me because I was in such a shit state. And obviously, you know, I don't resent them for that. Like, it's like, yeah, no, I would have left me too. However, what that does is that only breeds more resentment and more negativity, because now, like, not only am I dealing with all this stuff, but people are walking away from me and abandoning me, and I'm like, oh, now I'm left on my own, nobody wants me, you know. You go through all of these negative feelings and thoughts. And basically at that time, after my relationship broke up, I sat down with Wally and another mate, and I just wanted to vent and say, like, these are all the things I'm dealing with, I don't know what to do. And this is where the reaching out comes in that we talked about earlier. By reaching out to people who are in a good spot, or not even in a good spot, but just in a spot, they can just maybe provide you some perspective, or they might just be there as a sympathetic ear. So I reached out to Wally and to my other mate, and basically said, like, my life is terrible. I'm feeling so much pain. I'm feeling so much suffering. I'm in a really dark spot. I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And both Wally and my mate basically said to me, no, we can't help you. You have to help you. This is up to you. Like, I think the quote was, I'm like, you know, dealing with all those things, and the line that, I can't remember if it was you or Kyle that said it to me, but they're like, okay, that happened. What are you going to do about it? And then just that statement, what are you going to do about it? It was like, damn. And I just had this wave come over me of, like, realization of, like, that's right. And I'm getting goosebumps now, like, thinking about it. It's like, that's right. It's up to me to do something about this. Like, nobody else can solve my life.
Yeah.
Nobody else can solve all these problems. This is on me. I have to accept this. And regardless of whether I got here on my own or whether somebody else put me in this state, it's now up to me to dig my way out of it.
Yep.
And that realization hit me like a ton of bricks. And sent me for a bit of a spin, and it was at that point that I started turning the ship around, because I was running from the darkness, I was running from the suffering and the pain, and then somebody was like, dude, like, you can't keep running, it's gonna just get worse and it's gonna engulf you. It's like you're running from a snowball which is constantly getting bigger and bigger as you're running down the hill away from it. It's like the more you keep running, the bigger it's gonna get. At some point you have to turn, you have to face it and let it hit you, and it's gonna hurt, but it's only gonna hurt for a second and maybe a minute or a week, but like then it will stop hurting and then you can rebuild.
Yep. I think it, like you said, as you turn the ship around, it is one of those things where we need to be aware that our life is our ship. You know, we are the driver of that ship, and we need to make sure that we have hold of that steering wheel. You know, because the problem is, so many people in our life might try and push their way in and take control of our steering wheel, and okay, cool, get out of here. Like, you're taking this in the wrong way. You're about to run us aground on my ship.
It's my ship.
I can't go and sit in the corner and close my eyes and hope that we don't run into the ground. I've got to get out there, grab hold of that steering wheel, even if I've never driven it before in my life, because my parents have always done this for me, or other people in my life have always had control.
Or it's just on autopilot.
I need to get in there, grab that steering wheel, turn it around and get it away from land, you know, otherwise we're going to crash. And it's really...
Or even if you have crashed, it's like, okay,
back it up.
it's time to like rebuild. Like,
yeah.
But again, it's on you.
Yeah, we've got to make sure we're taking on that fear of having the control, because it may not be something we're familiar with, and it can be quite overwhelming to realize everything you have, everything in your life right now is just an accumulation as to what you've built up to be. You know, if you...
Or what you've let happen.
What you've let happen.
Maybe you didn't purposely build your life to this point, but you've let your life get to this point.
Yeah.
And what we're saying now is like, okay, well, that's enough. It's time to turn this thing around.
Yeah.
And start going in the way that we want it to go.
Yeah. And, you know, just going back to what we were talking about before, there's a couple of comments in there from Dave and Shane talking about, you know, relying on people around them and, you know, the heavy metal family. And really that's what it's great, especially when you're part of a local scene, because that is sort of our connection point. You know, there's so many community groups around the place, and, you know, we're obviously involved in the Brisbane metal scene, but also, you know, this is an opportunity to be involved in the Australian heavy metal scene and also the international heavy metal scene, you know, and we're able to have conversations with you guys, and you're able to converse with each other and really provide that support. You don't have to do anything to be supportive. All you have to do is just be there, you know, and people will come to you, or they might not come to you, and they'll ask questions, and then they'll just figure it out. But by being someone there who's able to assist, you know, that's just so powerful. So we really got to make sure that if you are struggling, you know, you can reach out and about mental health and all that sort of thing. Like, the government has heaps of free call lines and all those sorts of things, because they know how important it is just to have an ear to listen to, because the biggest problem is that we get caught in our little world and think there's no one else like us, you know, but the problem is everyone is like us.
There's so many people dealing with this. In fact, everyone deals with it to some degree, on some level. Maybe not the same, but on a scale. Somebody's dealing with their own suffering internally.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter where you are on the scale, there's always someone worse off than you. You know, you're never the worst person, and, you know, this is how people end up killing themselves and all that sort of thing, because they think that they are all alone and there is no purpose, and, you know, they're surrounded by all this suffering and all those sorts of things, because unfortunately it's just taken its toll and it's piled up on them, and they just can't take any more.
That's it.
And, you know, because
it's a really sad state, man.
It is, it's unfortunate. And so that's why, you know, we got to remember that there are people out there to help us. We do have a family, we do have a community around us that is willing to support us, and but at the end of the day, you know, no one can help us if we're not willing to help ourselves.
That's what it comes down to, and that's what we're talking about here. It's like embracing the suffering, embracing the pain, the darkness that you're dealing with. It's like, you've got to accept that. It's your responsibility. It's your life. Like, yes, people can help you, but nobody can actually do it for you, because it's in here. Yep. Most of it is in your mind, and I'm not to say that you're making it up. That's not what I mean by that. What I mean by that is that the battle that you're facing is a battle against your thoughts. Nobody else can change your thoughts, or can they fight them. Only you can do that. And so, I mean, people can offer you tools, people can offer you support, and love, and guidance, and all those other things, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to face that darkness.
Yep.
and you have to embrace the fact that you're going to. I think, this is a good opportunity to sort of spin this in a little bit of a positive direction. Obviously, this is quite a depressing conversation in a sense, but it's a real conversation, and it's one that needs to be had, I think, with a lot of people. And certainly I feel like expressing myself was beneficial to me, and hopefully some of you guys have related or connected to that in some way as well. But there's a good thing in embracing this suffering, embracing the challenge, embracing the darkness that's coming at you. There's positivity in that, and one of those really big positivities that come out of that is that you get stronger, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. I think Sean's put in a good comment here that says there's a strength that can be found through facing pain, and I can certainly relate to that. Having gone through the story that I just told you guys, since then I have grown immensely as a character, internally, emotionally, mentally, and all of that was started because I decided to turn the ship around, and then work every day to try and make it better and try and get back on track and be more happy and be more in the direction I want my life to go.
Yeah.
There's a strength that comes from facing that challenge, facing the darkness and the negativity and the pain and the suffering. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to just have another short little clip here from Jordan Peterson, who's again on the Joe Rogan Experience, talking basically about that exact thing. So
the idea would be that if you can face the malevolence and you can face the suffering, then that opens the door to your maximal potential. And then the optimistic part of that is, and this is why it's so useful to peer into the darkness, let's say. Optimistic part of that is that although the suffering is great and the malevolence is deep, your capacity to transcend it is stronger. So what you get out of the most negative viewpoint is the most positive possible consequence. Because one of the things you'd like to know, if you wanted to know something deep about yourself, is that you could face the worst that there was and prevail. And I believe that people are capable of that. I think that despite how tragic life is and how malevolent things are, that fundamentally our spirit, let's say, has the capacity to confront that, to confront it courageously, to be able to bear up under that if you do it voluntarily, but also to address it. Not only to deal with it psychologically, but to deal with it practically. And that we could make things much better.
So just on that topic there, so again, Peterson was talking about the fact that by facing the darkness, by facing the challenge of life, you become stronger. And the bigger challenge you face, the stronger you will become because of it. And that's like, I'm not saying you need to take on the biggest fucking challenge right now if you're not capable of that, or you're not strong enough to do that, or you don't want to overwhelm yourself with it. Start small, obviously. Start by just trying to accomplish one little thing. Like we've spoken about this in previous road trips. But the important thing is that you're doing something, and you're working your way to becoming stronger. You're working your way to becoming happier. You're working your way to improving your life in small ways over the long term. And each time you're making an improvement, you're getting stronger. You're getting more experience. You're getting more knowledge. You're getting more tools in your toolkit. Whatever metaphor you want to use, you're growing by facing more and more challenges each time.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to ask a question to you guys. Like, do you have a thing that you see, maybe previously in your life where you didn't feel like you were strong enough to do, but now maybe it's something you do, something you've taken on in your life because you realize that you are capable and you've built the confidence to go, well, I can do that now. I can bring that on, It is one of those things in my life, and I know Ando's the same. He previously not had habits because it's too far out of his reach or it's not part of himself, but he's worked yourself up to get there and being like, I can do this now. You've built the confidence by adding up, building those blocks on top of each other. Yeah. So let us know in the comments there if you've got any habits or routines that you've taken on now that you didn't think was possible.
Yeah, we'd love to hear about that, guys. Obviously, we're not going to make you guys be as vulnerable talking about the pain that you may have been going through. If you want to share that, we definitely encourage it, but we're not going to force you guys to sort of put that information out there if you're not feeling comfortable to do so. I'm actually feeling quite taxed after having vented my story just recently. It definitely took it out of me to be that vulnerable, I suppose, on camera. But what I was going to say was, like I said before, and like Wally was saying, is by embracing that challenge, by turning my life around at that point, I have become so much stronger and happier and built my emotional and spiritual and mental integrity and these things not instantly, of course. It's been 2.5, 3 years
Yeah.
of a journey, but each week, each day, I took a little step, and I got a little bit stronger, and a little bit happier, a little bit more confident, and a little bit, just little bit by little bit. And then over 3 years, obviously that adds up, and now I'm definitely not where I want to be, but I'm in a hell of a lot better spot than I was. Just from taking some responsibility over my own happiness and my own mental state. As I said, we have spoken about this in previous retreats, the mental battles that you face, like the ones about beware the poison,
Yep.
and the poison has you, and
Yep.
those ones from late last year.
Yep.
And that's about controlling your thoughts, and that's really where it starts. Like, firstly, you have to admit that there's darkness and suffering in your life. Then you have to say, it's up to me to do something about that.
Yep.
Then it's up to you to say, I'm going to do something about it. And then how you do something about it, that's where all this mental training of, like, I'm going to start controlling my thoughts, I'm going to start controlling my behaviors.
Yep.
And then it's like a snowball effect from there, and you start growing, and you find your own path and your own way of getting to where it is that you want to go.
Yep. And we've definitely spoken about that before, on building that momentum, building that confidence in ourselves, because we took on something we didn't think was possible, and wow, like, we've grown through that, we've gotten past that, and
That's
we've gotten
right.
stronger, like Sean said there. We've built that strength up, so now we're actually capable to take on something else, and that thing's
That's right.
easy now. That's beyond us. Like, we've pushed that one aside, broken over that hurdle, and now we've got a new one to face, and that should be our aim. Our target should be to build up to the next level. We should always be looking to take that higher and higher, get ourselves stronger. We're going to build momentum by doing that. We're going to build confidence in ourselves, and all of a sudden around us, people start looking and seeing, like, how strong we're getting, and then they're going to feel okay to open up, because they're like, oh, maybe if this person's on my team, they look like they've broken over a hurdle that I can't figure out how to get over, so I'm going to go talk to that person and figure out, what did you do to get over that? I thought you weren't really capable of that thing, and
That's right.
that creates conversation.
And I think that's a big part of why I was explaining my story before. So to sort of explain that, like, I went through that. Certainly, if you guys are going through it, like, A, it's possible to get through it, and B, like, if you do need someone to talk about, like, definitely reach out to me, like, privately or through the band or whatever you want to do. I'm happy to be an ear, and not necessarily to give you advice or whatever, but, like, at least just to be an ear to listen and understand. But I think, again, so like Peterson was talking about there, is to become the best you, to become the most optimal strength-wise, mentally, or whatever it might be, you have to face more challenges.
Yep.
And Rogan was saying the same thing. You have to embrace the suffering, and not only embrace it, but over time, seek it out. Look for challenges. Look for opportunities to grow. Look for opportunities to make yourself stronger by putting yourself in a small challenge.
Yep.
Like, and a good example and a simple example of that is obviously going to the gym. You go to the gym, you lift heavy weights, you get stronger, like, your muscles grow. Now, if you weren't lifting heavy weights, your muscles wouldn't be growing. Lifting the heavy weights kind of hurts, and it kind of sucks at the time.
Yeah.
But by doing that, you're making your muscles stronger, and then next time you can lift heavier weights, or the same weights are easier to lift. Now, that's a really, like, physical and simple example of how that works, but your mind works the same way. By putting weights on your mind, or maybe you've got enough weights on your mind already, I don't know, but by training it, by, like, challenging yourself to overcome fears and overcome obstacles and overcome stress and things like that, you get stronger and you get better at dealing with all of these things. And basically there's a quote, Wally's got a quote up here on the screen, about a ship in the harbour is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. Like, you can be safe and you can be in your comfort zone and you can not challenge yourself, and you won't have any major problems aside from the fact that the darkness will eventually engulf you.
Unfortunately.
Like we spoke about.
Yeah.
But you might be safe from challenges and struggles initially, but that's not what the purpose of life is not to be safe. Like, you've got to get out there and live.
Yeah.
You've got to do something exciting, but to be exciting, you have to challenge yourself. You have to step out of your comfort zone, and you have to face the challenge, the darkness, the unknown, the fear, the,
Big scary world out there.
That's
you
it.
know?
It's out there, and it's only going to encroach on your life. So you may as well get used to dealing with it.
As we said, like, at the start, these challenges are going to come. If we're going to be a human being, from the moment we're born, we are avoiding death through eating and recovering and going to work to get money to have comfortability.
Yep.
You know, but that's all a challenge. Like when you are at school, all you're doing is learning new things. That's a challenge because you're not used to that. But all of a sudden now, you know, a grade 2 maths problem is not that hard. But at the time it was. But we've built our knowledge up and up, and
that's it.
All of a sudden
That's a
the
really
challenges,
good example,
like all the challenges we face in our day to day. Hopefully in 6 months' time we've figured out how to get over that, you know, and we've built ourselves up. But all we're trying to do is just take on the next challenge, and sometimes we don't even realize like how strong we've gotten, how much momentum and confidence we've built in ourselves.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where they're going to come, and they're going to keep coming until you die, because we have a constant need to provide for ourselves. You know, even if you're not going anywhere in your life, to just go to work and pay your bills, that's still a challenge in your mind, you know. That's still relatively challenging.
It's still a recurring thing though, that's the thing. Like, survival isn't a thing where you just do this amount of stuff today and then you're good for 5 years. It's like, no, you have to, every day there's a new struggle, there's a new challenge. Like your money runs out. You need to eat every day to survive. You know, you need to sleep every night. You can't like, oh, I'll just eat a bunch today and then I'll be good for a month. Yeah. Like, you know?
Well, the caveman did, but he had 30 days to go find some more food, you know, or else he was going to starve to death.
Exactly. So it's like, it's a recurring problem that keeps happening, and life is that recurring suffering. So you have to get used to that and embrace it and try and tackle it. And I think Wally's got some good things to say about seeking out the challenge. So again, once you're sort of through that darkness, you've decided to face it, you're starting to turn the ship around. Now it's like, okay, let's look for more opportunities to grow. Yeah. Let's look for more challenges. Let's try and get stronger. Let's try and get better. Let's try and get tougher. Let's try and get more knowledge. Let's advance.
Yeah, and it is one of those things where we have to do those hard things to ourselves to get stronger. You know, we need to move forwards to get over these simple challenges, and, you know, make these things easy, move on to the next one, because that's going to bring us happiness and fulfillment and provide us with growth
and purpose.
And a purpose, exactly right. You know, we've got to move forward to feel good in ourselves. If we stay stagnant and the darkness overwhelms us, we're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
But if we can get those challenges, find them, you know, take them on, we're going to be able to grow forwards into that, you know. And so I've got a video to share with you guys. I'll just bring it up now, and that's basically going to tell us all about taking on that challenge and why that's so important. So let's cut to that now.
You always talk about embracing in the suck.
Right.
You know, how do you people do that? Is it something you have to tell yourself? You know?
You know what? It is so embracing the suck. It really is something that you have to tell yourself, because we don't want to embrace the suck. You know, not even me. I don't want to embrace the suck. But to be your best person, you have to find your best self, and to do that, you can't stay in the comfortable world. You have to be very, not always uncomfortable, but you know, you got to find a spot that's not so comfortable.
Is it something you tell yourself? Like,
well, it's something I tell myself daily. So I make sure I do at least one thing every day that sucks. It could be for an hour, it could be for 2 hours, sometimes it's for 10 hours. Mental toughness doesn't come from sitting on the couch. It doesn't come from wishing it will come true. It comes from putting in the work, and you have to start developing your mindset. Mindset is not developed by wishing. Mindset is developed by doing and actually putting into practice. Mental health is the most important thing in the world, because the mind wants to have control over you. You need to have control over your own mind. So that's all about the mental health. Your mind's gonna always guide you in a spot that wants to make you feel comfortable and nice and secure. And it's in those spots that there's no growth. Without friction, there's no growth. So that's what I constantly preach about. You have to get outside that comfort zone to find that every day of your life.
So as we can see there, it is one of those things where, you know, that David Goggins, he's, you know, runs ultra marathons, retired Navy SEAL, claimed, you know, everyone calls him the toughest man alive. He is one of those people who knows the importance of finding that challenge. You know, everything needs to be a struggle, because otherwise we're going to be stagnant. And as he said at the end there, it's going to take a toll on your mind, you know, because your mind is going to perceive things as difficult. And we do need to get out and chase that. You know, every day we need to go and find something so we can grow. You know,
embrace the suck, as he said.
Yeah, that's the first thing he said. And that's not going to come sitting on the couch. You know, we've got to get out and do those things that suck. Just a little bit, or a lot, whatever you're capable of,
Yeah, don't have to overwhelm yourself with it, but challenge yourself.
take it to the next level every day, because that is going to provide us with that growth, and that growth is going to provide us with development, and that's going to make us happy. You know, that's going to give us fulfillment, and really, like, that's what we want to do. We want to be happy in our life. You know, we want to feel good with ourselves, and the way to achieve that,
Purpose.
the way to achieve that is to challenge yourself, move a little bit forward every day, and we're going to be able to sit back and turn around and look how far we've come, and that's going to make us smile. You know,
That's fulfillment. It's not temporary happiness. That's
Yeah.
like long-lasting fulfillment of like, I'm embracing my life and I'm moving forward and I'm making progress. That's the difference between temporary happiness and fulfillment. Is
Yep.
It's long-lasting because it took you a lot of effort to get there. You know, it's like the easy come, easy go. If you feel happy instantly because of something that makes you feel happy instantly, like, it's probably not going to last very long. But if it takes a lot of work to get there, it's going to last a longer time. Like, the result from that, the feeling that you get from that will
Yep.
last a lot longer.
it is one of those things, like, if you sit there and ask yourself, you know, what is my full potential? We really don't know what we're capable of right now, because we can only see, you know, so far ahead and so
Yeah.
far behind. You know, we don't realize how smart we were in preschool when we drew like a shitty circle. You know, we didn't realize how physically difficult that was now, but you just draw a circle. But back then, that was a hell of a challenge to get a nice smooth line. And just like, we can't see how strong we're going to be in 10 years' time, or how much
Yeah.
money we're going to have in 20
Yeah.
years' time. All we can see is like a window, maybe, you know, 6 or 12 months either side of where we are now. And so we need to be able to break through the door today to be able to find our next level of potential.
That's it.
And not seeing it as so far away, because it's just there. Once we embrace that suck, move through the door today and move through the door again tomorrow,
That's it.
we're actually becoming our best self every single day. And that's how we
yeah.
become our best self 10, 20, 30 years in the future.
That's right. It's not about necessarily setting a 10-year goal and saying, that's where I want to be in 10 years. Let's start working towards that. It's like, just take one step. Like, don't look at it as a mountain. Look at it as a shitload of like little rocks. That, like, just move one rock today.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, move one rock. And then the next day, move another rock. And then, like, in 100 days, you would have moved 100 rocks. And you've got a big old pile of rocks over there. And you're like, damn, like, where did that come from? You know? Like, but if you're looking at it as a mountain,
Yep.
you're never going to start.
Yep.
So don't worry about the long goal. Just try and get a little bit better today. Just try and embrace today's challenge,
Yep. And
whatever that might be for you guys.
yeah, and I think it is one of those things where, as David said there at the end of the video, we've got to change the way we look at these things, and it's something I've really come to terms with, as I don't have things in my life that suck and it's an impossible challenge. I have things in my life that suck that I need to do, and I want to do them because I want to be better tomorrow. You know, so I've got to take on these activities and go, where's the thing that sucks? All right, cool, let's do that. I'm going to do that today because I know that's going to make me better tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I'm looking around for the easy things, then I'm just going to do it, and it's not going to be any better tomorrow because I was lifting the weight with no
Yeah,
resistance.
that's
My
right.
muscles didn't grow. I lift the weight with no resistance. You know, I take on an activity that has no stress on my mind or my body or my spirit, whatever. I'm not going to get any better because I
That's
didn't
right.
learn any lessons.
That's
you know?
that's what Joe Rogan and Peterson were talking about right at the beginning. There is like, yeah, you've got to look for that suffering, that struggle. Find
Yeah.
the struggle. Find the resistance. The resistance is what makes you stronger. The friction is how you grow.
Yeah.
You don't grow from doing things that are easy.
Yeah.
Or things that are, you know, staying in your comfort zone. You don't grow from that. You become weaker and softer and lazier.
Yeah, and
So-
it is really one of those things where we've got to change our mind, and this sort of relates back to the first thing. When we see that darkness, not look at it as some impossible, overwhelming creature, but
Yeah.
look at that as like, hell yes, I can take that on.
That's
because,
a challenge. Bring it.
yeah, that darkness, I can only see that darkness because it's in my atmosphere, it's in my environment. I am capable to take that on, you know, I can overpower that darkness. That's why it's looking at me, you know. Turning $1,000 into $1 million is not something we're capable of, so we're not overwhelmed by that challenge. But to be able to save up to $10,000 to buy a new car, or we want to buy a house or something like that, well, gee, that looks like a bit of a problem that I can take on, you know. If that's a goal I want to do with my life, how can I actually make that happen, you know? So I've got to sit down and figure it out and put in the work. And then when I get to a $10,000 bank account, I'm like, damn, I did it. you know, like I actually did that thing, or now I have the ability to save $100,000, you know, or whatever the case may be.
It's a scalable thing. It's like once you figure out how to beat the little battles, it's the same mindset for the bigger battles.
Yeah.
You're just expanding maybe you need more skills and more tools and things, more resources, but the mindset is the same. Taking on this little challenge versus taking on a massive challenge. But like, what sort of things, like you talked about looking for things that suck and embracing that. Like, can you give an example? Or?
Yeah, well, like I work out every day, and you know, what is it? Wednesdays and Saturdays is my core and back day when I work out at home. And yesterday I was sitting there thinking like, oh, it might be time to do some pull-ups, you know, because pull-ups are good for the back. And I'm like, oh, nah, I'll just do my abs today. Like, I'll just do a bunch of sit-ups and stuff. And
pull-ups make you a better person.
Yeah, and so basically, after I did my workout, I'm like, nah, that wasn't challenging enough. Like, I don't feel like I grew. You know, I do this same thing every week, twice a week. Like,
It's become your comfort zone.
Well, I got to do pull-ups tomorrow. Like, pull-ups suck. Like, pull-ups are shit.
Yeah.
They're like the worst thing I can do. But just saying that is like, well,
that's exactly the reason why you should be doing them.
Yeah, that's why I've got to do it.
There's most of the growth potential there.
Yeah, so today, that's what we had to do, and we did them, and they suck real bad, but I'm a bit better at them than what I was yesterday. And if I do them again tomorrow, then I'm going to be a little bit stronger every day. And the only way I'm going to be able to do 100 pull-ups is if I can do 10. The only way I can do 10 is if I can do 5. The only way I can do 5 is if I can do 1. You know?
Exactly.
So
start with 1.
What else can I do? There's no other way to get there.
That's it. There's no easy way of becoming a master at pull-ups other than by doing more pull-ups.
Yeah. And so that's...
And just like there's no way of mastering all the negative thoughts in your mind unless you start by mastering one of the negative thoughts in your mind.
Yeah, really breaking that down, you know, telling yourself that you're capable. If it looks too big, we've got to break it down. What can we do today to get a little bit closer?
Yeah.
And it's going to suck, but we've got to take that on.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good suck.
Yeah. If
Good
it
suck.
sucks, good.
Yeah.
It makes you stronger.
Yeah, perfect reason to take it on.
That's
What about you? Do you have anything in your life that sucks real bad that you like to take it on?
Well, there's a few things, yeah, but you know, like working out, same thing. Definitely like a challenge for me some days. You know, like this.
I know you don't like getting out of bed too much in the morning.
Yeah, getting out of bed is still a struggle for me. I struggle with that pretty much, not every day, but maybe 5 days a week. Not always aligned with work. Sometimes it's on a weekend or whatever. But and it's not that I don't enjoy my job or I don't enjoy what I'm going to do with the day. It's just that initial like suffering that is like waking up. Like that's a struggle. Like that, like you're going from being nice and comfortable and asleep and peaceful to like there's an alarm going off.
Loud
You've got to
noise.
like physically move your body that's been resting and still and comfortable and get it to a vertical state and get it energized to tackle the day. Like, I mean, you know, it's not really a struggle for some people and it probably shouldn't be a struggle, but it is. And it sucks, but you have to do it. Like, if you don't get out of bed, you're going to be stuck in bed all day.
Yeah.
You know, so and especially if you have work, you got to get to work, otherwise you lose your job. You know, you
don't have food.
You don't get money. All those things. So, yeah, it sucks, but you have to do it. Like, and then not only do you have to do it, but embrace the fact that you have to do it, because every day that you do get out of bed when your alarm goes off makes the next day slightly easier to get out of bed when your alarm goes off.
Yeah.
Until eventually you become one of these people that like your alarm goes off and you spring out of bed, or you spring out of bed before your alarm even goes off because you're like, fuck yeah, I'm ready for today. Like, I'm not that person yet.
Yeah.
But I'm working there.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I want to know if any of you guys struggle getting out of bed. You know, I've got a pretty solid routine, but probably once, sometimes twice a week, I don't quite get up with my alarm, you know? And it is one of those things where I'm like, damn, I didn't take on... I thought it was no longer a challenge, but my mind was playing tricks on me, pretending like it was still okay, but actually, it's a challenge, and I still got to make sure I'm focused on that challenge and going, I need to win this every single day.
That's
you
it.
know,
It's a
until
battle.
it becomes locked in and I can move past it. But
even if, does it ever become a point that you can move past, or is it one of those recurring sufferings?
maybe it is a recurring
and
suffering.
you just get better at dealing with it.
You get better. You deal.
It doesn't go away. The suffering of getting out of bed doesn't become less.
Yeah.
You just get better at coping with it, or dealing with it, or facing it.
Yeah. Well, I'm building up the strength to go. Well, I did it yesterday, and for the last 100 days. So bring it on. Like,
Just another one.
yeah, just another
Like
one.
I've got it's 100 points to 1 point.
Yeah.
It's like now I just put another. It's 101 to 1. It's 102 to 1. You know, it's like I've got enough momentum from doing it over and over.
Yeah, but it will become easier, but may not never disappear because we've got to keep eyes on the darkness. The darkness will try and move in our brain and try and flank us,
It's always
man.
going to try and get back in there.
It's going to try and it's going to try and muscle its way back in. When you stop looking at it, when you leave that door open and you forgot to shut it, it's going to creep on back in thinking it's allowed. You've got to keep that thing out the door, you know.
That's it.
Keep an eye, you know, stand guard. What is it?
Stand guard at the door of your mind.
Yeah, don't let it in. And
Peterson quote. I
yeah,
think.
so we got to go looking for the suck, but don't forget about the things we have also beaten because it will try and creep back up on us if we don't keep that locked down.
That's right. I think that's probably a good point to wrap up. It's been a pretty intense discussion today, guys. So thank you for everyone that's been tuning in. Thank you to everyone that's been tuning in, sorry. And we hope you guys are really relating to, or maybe at least enjoying these discussions and finding value in them.
Well, it's good to see so many people jumping in the comments today, you know,
Yeah.
Sean and Dave and Isaac and
Yeah, so thank
Josh.
you guys for sharing around and getting involved.
yeah.
Really appreciate that.
I just want to finish on a quote there that a smooth sea never made for a skilled sailor. So if you want to be better, you got to go and take on the rough seas.
That's
you know,
right. That's
get your
keeping with
skills
that
up.
nautical theme today of
Yeah.
turning the ship around and
Yeah,
getting out of the harbour
Yeah.
and all those things. So.
go take it on, and you'll actually get better.
Mm.
You know, believe that. Tell
That's it.
yourself that is the truth.
That's the raw truth.
It is the raw truth. Good
There
rap.
you go. All right, well, as I said, thanks again for tuning in, guys. We really appreciate your time. If you want to get more involved in these discussions, you know, share these things around, comment on the posts. We really appreciate all of that stuff. Follow us on Instagram. Once every 3 days, I put up another quote or a video or a snippet of these or something relating to mental health and building that battle and building that forward momentum inside your mind. So we're putting that up on Instagram every 3 or 4 days. So make sure you're following us over there at Wartooth Metal to keep up to date with all of that stuff. We're going to be putting up video clips of these raw truth discussions on YouTube as well. So follow us there, subscribe. We really appreciate all of that. Music.
Yeah, so we've got a CD out.
We do.
When was that? The 9th of April.
It's been out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We sold just shy of 120 copies. So we really appreciate everyone for getting on board and supporting that mission. If you haven't heard the album, make sure you jump over to Spotify or wherever you like to stream music. It's on there, or get a copy of it, a CD copy of it at shop.wartoothmetal.com. We really appreciate you guys grabbing a hold of a CD and getting that music sent straight to your door.
Yep. Follow us on all the socials at Wartooth Metal, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
That's it.
You know, keep up to date with us, join in the conversations, and yeah, grab yourself a CD if you want to check it out.
That's
We've
it.
also got
Got merch for sale.
shirts, patches, hats, and stubby coolers.
Mhm.
Or you can get it all in one big bundle, packaged up, sent right to your front door.
That's it. No contact, no worries. It's
Keep safe in that
That's
coronavirus.
it. Other than that, guys, stay strong. Keep pushing forward. Keep battling that darkness. Keep facing the darkness.